What's up? This is Yuda, BeatLab, here again, reviewing plugins. We're checking out if should we buy it. And this time we're checking out 5 plugins from United Plugins. And it's kind of like a company that unite a few developers together. So we're going to check out 2 plugins from FireSonic, 2 plugins from Sound Device Digital, and 1 plugin from JMG Sound, all for mixing, mastering, and sound design. So let's see what it's all about, see if we should buy it. Okay, so here in Ableton, I have just a simple beat, 4 tracks, got some chords, arpeggiator, bass, drums, and they're all dry. There's no effects on them. This is just the drums, just the bass. The arpeggiator does have an echo delay on it, just because we're not reviewing a delay plugin today, and I want it to be part of the sound. I put it there. Arpeggiator just for the effect, and also the chords have nothing on them. I can delete this utility, we don't need it. Just an electric piano. This is a free one from MDA electric piano, MDA plugins. And again, an arpeggiator just for the effect to arpeggiate the chords. Let's listen to what we got with no effects. Okay, nice. So definitely we need some boost in here, especially for the drums and stuff like that. Let's go. Let's start with the chords. I'm going to solo them. Let's go plugins. And first plugin we're going to talk about, it's a very simple one. It's called FrontDAW. This is from Sound Device Digital. But again, they're all under the umbrella of United Plugins. So this one is a very simple one. It just emulates the one signal chain, kind of the saturation, the coloring of 3 mixing consoles, 3 analog mixing consoles. And I kind of like that it's super simple. You don't need to do anything with it too much. Just right out of the bat, it's already have the Mojo main knob on 5, so it's doing something. It's a very subtle effect, kind of mimicking just the coloring of that analog mixing boards. And they do recommend to put it as the first effect on every track, but you don't really have to. It's up to you. So let's just push it. Let's say start from 0 and listen, and we start pushing it. Right now we're on the US mixing console, American. Right, it's extremely subtle. We see we have here this indicator indicating that it gets in the signal. Input volume, if you want to push it more, now we can really hear the distortion there. And a high pass filter, all the way up to 500 Hertz. We have German, British, and American. So let's do this. I'm going to put it on all on 10. I'm going to copy this to the ARP. And I'm holding Option or Command. Or copy it to the bass and the drums all together. And I'm going to also switch to the session view. And here in the session view, I added this, as you can see, I added this display, this plugin display. With the options.txt. It's a whole nother thing. We can do it in a different video if you're interested, but just so we can see what's on the track. So right now the FrontDAW is on all the tracks. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to keyboard map the FrontDAW on every track to my keyboard, just so I can turn it off so we can hear before and after. Nice, so there's definitely a lot more body with it. To the sounds. Let's try to switch everything to German. German. And German. Let's listen without. And with. Nice. That's definitely added a lot of volume also. And some coloring. So really great stuff. Very simple. Here you have some presets here. You can start checking out. I do want to say that these United plugins are working with Melda Productions. They do also have a few plugins they offer on the website for Melda Productions. Melda Production, of course, always doing amazing things. It's just their interface is not, it's not the friendliest. So this preset system seems like it was taken from all the Melda Productions plugins. I personally don't like it. You also, when you double click on a parameter, it actually brings up this weird huge window for just like a calculator for just changing the value. So that's weird, but you can right click on a parameter to reset it. So that's cool. And if you right click on the plugin, you can change the GUI. One thing I did like, I saw in all their plugins, they're all the same size no matter what computer they are. They kind of adjustable, they're adaptive, but you can further change it, see the documentation. And I did had in one case an instance when I opened older plugins and it was flickering. The display was flickering in a weird way, so you can disable GPU acceleration. Probably on my end, my video card was going crazy or something. So that's the FrontDAW emulation of three channels, three kind of signal chains of 3 channel strips. Very simple to use. If you want to warm up, get some more analog vibes out of your music, out of your tracks, this might be a cool plugin to use. So I like that it's simple and straightforward, subtle, which might be a good thing, and sometimes it might be too subtle. Maybe we want to push it more, but we always have the input knob to drive it a bit higher. So that's the FrontDAW, first plugin. Let's go, next one. Let's check out the FireCobra. I'm gonna put it on, let's put it on the drums first. There we go, FireCobra, let's solo the drums. Let's extend the track here. Okay, FireCobra. Nice, so a FireCobra is kind of a sonic enhancer, has 3 different algorithms. Now the thing with this FireMaster, I'll show you after, is supposedly what, according to the developer, they're extremely complex algorithms in the background working. Some of them were developed with artificial intelligence and so on. So there's a lot going on in the background, which is quite cool to get a very simple interface that also I like how it looks. Very simple, very straightforward, laid out very nicely. But everything in the background happens in a very complex way. So that's very cool. I'm going to take the dry wet all the way up just so we can hear it more. And here we have 3 algorithms, 3 engines, sonic processors to enhance the sound. And it's more based on saturation, dynamic processing, and harmonic excitement, harmonic enhancing. So first we have the intensify. That's the main knob. That's the main algorithm. Supposedly there's a lot going on in the background. And it's somewhat of a smart dynamic processor to intensify and boost the sound. I like the visualization of those vacuum tubes. So definitely adds a lot of density to the sound. So that's the dynamic processor. If you take it all the way down to 0, it doesn't work. It's just dry. We have the smack, which is harmonic excitement. So it's going to make it a bit dirtier. So no, this without, this with. Definitely dirtier. And analog, or analogize, what did they say there? This one is a saturation. So it's kind of modeled after analog devices, just to add some saturation. It is on by default because they do say that most, on their manual, the most tracks will benefit from some analog saturation to push it further in the mix. Comes with presets, of course. And we have the input and output kind of for gain structuring to make sure we're not coming in too hot and not going out too hot into and from the device. Just without and with. Nice main dry wet knob to mix in the effect. Here we have linear phasing. So the device does do a lot of things with filtering and feedbacking and delaying and saturation. So it does change the phasing of the sound. You can have it on linear phase for minimum amount of phase change, but that will also introduce latency, so it cannot be used live. Same thing for oversampling. Also the linear phase will introduce more CPU. So same thing for oversampling. This will create more CPU, especially on ×8. It's crazy amount of CPU from what I could tell. But it might make the higher frequencies a bit sounding a bit better, like the sound quality will sound a bit more smoother and higher quality. So this is good if you are kind of using this FireCobra on things that are more high-end, more brighter. The oversampling might help with that. That is all. Here's the presets. You can right-click again, like the FireDAW, now like the FrontDAW, and change the interface size. You can also change it from here. Wait, close that. Change it from here as well. So really simple yet very powerful things. So FireCobra kind of a sonic enhancer that is mostly based around saturation and distortion to get even more analog filth, excuse me, into your sounds. Let's copy it to our arpeggiator. This is arpeggiator without. And with. That might be too much. Nice, that's a nice color in it, very nice. On all the plugins we do have A/B, so we can switch between A and B states, just to do A/B test, check out different states, bypassing, and also undo and redo. So that's the FireCobra. FireCobra is nice. I like that there's complexity in the background, but with a simple interface, and the three processors, let's open it back up, the three processors, engines, are definitely audible, and enhancing without going too extreme. So that's always nice, because we want to just have a few knobs that sounds good and not do anything. Oversampling might take out too much CPU, and no built-in gain matching. So we kind of can always fall into the hole of louder sounds better. So it would be nice to have a automatic gain matching that match the gain between the input and the output, so we actually hear what it's doing. We can always do it manually, but a built-in one would be great. That's the FireCobra. You can put it on almost anything. I put it on the arpeggiator, and I'll copy it also to the drums. And maybe here we'll choose like a preset for drums. Let's see what we got. Drum glue. Excellent. Let's do that. Load. Okay, now I'm already clipping here on the master, so let me take all the tracks, we'll turn them down, get some more headroom. Let me boost the drums just a tiny bit, they're too quiet. Okay, next one is the FireMaster. This one is great, I love that. Let's put it on the master. Here it is. So very similar, same developer from FireSonic. Same developer as the FireCobra, and this one is more for mastering, but I did try it on everything, individual tracks, groups, mastering. It all sounds great. It's not like a one-stop shop, it's just like extra sauce on everything. So it's not limiting, it's not doing anything, it's just enhancing things in a very nice way. Very similar to the FireCobra interface. Here we have the main dry wet knob, input and output controls, and here we can boost the bass, which will just, let's listen to. Right, boost it in a very nice way. Air for more high frequencies. And then we have the depth knob, which is kind of like their main processor, which adds more body and space to the sound. Right, so you kind of put it in a room or something. Now, color is supposedly saturation, but it doesn't sound like saturation, but it does very interesting things when you change it. Wow, you heard that? I love that. I think it's changing some timing of the space that they added, the space effect. So just to automate that all day, that would be great. I love that sound. Again, comes with presets, same thing. Here are more kind of instrument-focused presets, which you should expect it to have more of the mastering presets, so not so much, but let's do some punch. Or some width. Let's keep it with some punch. Turn it off. Nice, absolutely adding more body if that's what you need. You can see we're still clipping, so it's not a limiter or anything. So you will need to put some sort of a limiter after it. And let's put it even on the bass. Let's put it on the bass. Let's solo the bass. Let's put some bass here. Let's close this. Some depth without. and we're clipping like crazy after it. So let's bring down the output. Let's start without the FrontDAW and the FireMaster. And with... Let's make it a bit more solid. But we are clipping after it, but we don't hear any distortion, so that's fine. So FireMaster, really great kind of a secret sauce, secret tool you can put on your master tracks, on your individual tracks, and of course on group tracks. Quite simple to use, but again, they do say that there's a lot of complexity happening in the background. So that is the FireMaster. The main depth knob does add a lot of body, which is good, but it also has size and space, which is very interesting. And I do want to say that, again, there's no built-in gain matching, so that would be nice to have to make sure we don't fall into the pit of louder sound better. And the color, I don't think it's saturation, or at least it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it's changing the timing of the depth, the delay, so it might be, need to be renamed, this icon right here. So that's all, but overall, very simple, very great. Check it out. I would recommend just having, if you don't have any tools as that you consider to be secret sauce for mixing, this can be one of them. It's very cool to put it on almost anything. So that's the FireMaster. Next, we got the Royal Compressor. And the Royal Compressor was developed by Sound Device Digital, just like the FrontDAW. Now, personally, when I played around with it, I didn't like it so much, this compressor. It can be a good parallel compressor, but as a main compressor, I didn't find it to be so useful. Let's check out the preset drum root squash without. So let me make things tighter. Let's boost it up a bit. Let's try mix bass parallel. Whoops. I have to click twice. So it had some volume, very high peaks here. I did find it to not catch the peaks quick enough, which is weird. Here we have the input control, we have trim, what's coming into the compressor. 3 models all have different attack and release times. A tends to be the fastest and the least colorful, and C the slowest and the most colorful. Attack time, or kind of overall timing, reaction time of the compressor. Automatic gain, built-in saturation, which is extremely subtle. I didn't hear it too much. And the output control and the dry wet as well. Presets, and again, you can right click and change all the other parameters like we saw, all the other options in the other plugins. I don't have much to say about this. I didn't really like this compressor, to be honest. It's too pumping or too soft or thinning things too much. So I didn't find too many applications for it. All presets also have extreme difference in volume. If I go through presets, they're just jumping all over, so that's kind of weird. It shouldn't, gain matching should be a bit more, work a bit better. And again, having a hard time catching fast transients. So me personally, I didn't like this compressor. Royal Compressor, not my thing. But the FrontDAW is nice, so the developer does have a few things up his sleeve. For me, this personally, might not using it right. I don't know. For my applications, it wasn't the best compressor I used. So I'll probably won't use that a lot. So that's the Royal Compressor. Let's delete that. Let me add some FireMaster on our drums so we can boost it. Let's unmute. Oh, unsolo. Okay. Okay, now the last plugin was developed from a different developer called JMG Sound. and that's called Hyperspace. And this thing is super dope. Let's put it on the arpeggiator. Let's solo the arpeggiator. This is an algorithmic reverb, very well made. The interface, you know, arguably, it's very flat. It's okay. It definitely lay out things very nicely. The colors and everything. There's a few descriptive things here, at least one that I couldn't figure out what it is. And the manual seems to be a bit outdated, so please update that. But wow, such a versatile reverb. First of all, a lot of presets. There's a lot of different presets here that really showcase what this thing can do. Because besides using it for music production and have it sit nice and natural in the mix, it can also be an amazing sound design tool with a lot of creativity built into it. But it's an amazing reverb for mixing in general. So let's I'm actually going to put it, let's start actually with, why is this weird bug? I'm actually going to put it on my chords. Let's put it on the chords first so I can just play individual notes. So we can hear the reverb. So a lot of presets. Here we have dry, wet, which are linked by default, but you can unlink them. So you kind of have two channels, one for the dry and one for the wet. So it's kind of like a built-in return track in one, which, awesome, very great. Here's the input and output, like the overall input into the device and the overall output from the device. The time, so how long does it take the reverb to reach minus 60 dB? Kind of the tail. Very long, 20 seconds to very short. We have a mix between the early and late reflections, but that's always nice. The early reflections, the first time we actually hear the reverb, and the late, all the late reflections, the body of the reverb, the density of the echoing. So this is really great if you want to kind of diffuse the sound and only have it more reverby, or kind of use the reverb as a color without a lot of the tail of the reverb. We have parallel and serial. So this is going to be serial, this is going to be parallel. Parallel meaning that, first of all, let's start with serial, kind of the classic way of how reverbs work. The late reflections go into the early reflections. But in parallel, both the early reflections and the late reflections get the same, in the same time, which is super cool. Like, that's very cool stuff. Kind of giving us a different sound, a more clear sound when it's parallel, because the late reflections get the sound much later. Here we have density, how dense are the echoes, like the late reflections. Okay, usually higher amounts will sound more impressive, but in some cases we do want a low density, kind of to be very thin with the echo amount. Size, kind of mimicking the size of the room. Small and big. Damp will somewhat change kind of the type of the room, the material in it, if higher and lower frequencies are decaying, tailing much faster or slower. Kind of, again, another control to change the room type, the materials in it, and the objects. Pre-delay can go up to 1,000, so that's 1,000 milliseconds until we actually hear the reverb. Let's play it. So it's completely delaying the reverb. Would be really nice to be able to synchronize it. But we can always calculate the delay time and do that. But pre-delay will be awesome to be able to synchronize. Modulate, that's going to change the pitch of the reverb. That's what happened naturally to reverbs. Again, because of spaces, people walking around in the room or whatever that may be, different objects. So you're changing the pitch. Let's put it on 100 to listen. So we can kind of hear the pitch change. There's no way to control the speed of that, which is weird, but low amounts will give it a more natural, kind of more realistic type of reverb. A filter, that's a dual, that's a high pass and low pass. You go up, it's a high pass. Down, it's a low pass. If you want to further manipulate, kind of filter the reverb. Distance will emulate as if the sound is further away. Let's put it on 100%. So further away or closer, always great. We have that in the convolution reverb. Width, that's again a dual kind of bipolar control. If you take it down, it collapses to mono. If you take it up, it expands it even more, all the echoes. Very cool, can make super wide reverbs. And tilt is a tilt EQ, like another filter that we have. If we bring it up, it's gonna be more brighter. Bring it down, it's gonna be darker. So the blue section is kind of the main controls to set up the room. What is the room like? Now here, these two main controls, these are kind of our main algorithms. And instead of just one algorithm, we have a bunch of different algorithms here. 6 different algorithms, and they all sound slightly different. The two XY controls, those actually control what is happening. So they took like, how they explain it is this. They have the structure of the algorithm, which is kind of like the placement of all the processors, like panning and volume and feedback and all those type of things. And then you have the character of the kind of all the values and properties of those of that structure. So we can further change the algorithm, whatever we select, with the XY pads. First of all, we have the algorithm pad. So the X will crossfade between structures. Let's choose a different one. Sci-fi. Interesting. The Y-axis will change all the values, kind of interpolate between all the different values of the structures. And this, they mention, it's all artificial intelligence, machine learning. So they kind of took thousands of values and choose only the best ones using machine learning. We can definitely hear a difference there. Nice. And the character, the X-axis, takes all the delays and kind of skew the time. Wow, and that will behave differently with each algorithm. Here in the sci-fi, it's actually... Wow, that's so cool. Cosmic. So many ways to alter and change the reverb. And up and down the Y-axis will morph frequency ranges and the internal routing of all the algorithms. So you can, with these two controls, you can do a lot of changes here to the sound. Very cool stuff. That's all the two main controls. This is not friendly to automation, I see. Let's try classic. Very cool. Underneath here, we have kind of extra effects to further change the sound. These things are amazing. Wow, such a great addition to the reverb. And we didn't even talk about the actual effects here to the right. So first of all, we have focus. And focus is very interesting. It uses spectral processing, kind of dividing all the harmonics. And it separates the noisy harmonics to the tonal harmonics. And then we can apply more reverb to just the tonal harmonics. So it's going to be very tonal. Or just to the noisy harmonics. Okay, which is very, very interesting. So that's kind of focusing the reverb. It can be used to kind of bring out more the musical elements of the audio while still keeping a good amount of reverb, or bringing out kind of the tonal or the noise. Seems like when we go up, it's more tone. Yeah, it also says here, the manual is incorrect, I believe, on that case. And here is more on the noise. So all the kind of tonal character or material of the sound staying without the reverb, but all the noises, all the noise material of the sound still getting reverb on it. So you can keep the sound really in focus but still have still have some reverb on it. So that's the focus. Super awesome. Follow. That's a level kind of volume envelopes, envelope followers that are built in. There's 2 of them. Negative values will reduce the level of the reverb, so it's ducking. So we can hear when I play a note. It doesn't really play. Let's play the chord here. So it does. We don't hear the reverb so much with the chord. Just when we release the note, the reverb comes up. Kind of an automatic sidechain. It's really nice to have it built in. And the opposite, it will match the volume. So it kind of glue it together, kind of OTT built in. So you can hear now it's glued to the sound. The reverb and the original sound will be the same volume. So that's the envelope following. So awesome stuff. Transient. So we got attack and sustain. So the reverb will mostly focus on the beginning of the sound here. And kind of decay out on the sustain, on the body, or opposite. The reverb won't really happen. It will turn down on the beginning of the sound and will turn up density and echoes amount and volume on the body of the sound. Really, wow, it's so great. Dynamics, built-in compression, so it's a pre-reverb, it's before the reverb. You can take the sound before it goes into the reverberation system and basically do compression or expansion. So sometimes the mix is too busy, it can make the tail a bit more consistent. So if you take it up, it will reduce the amount of reverb on low volume materials. So now we have less reverb when I play it low, and more reverb when I play it louder, and the opposite. Kind of match, balance everything, compress the reverb. So even if it's quiet or louder, it still gives us a substantial amount of reverb. Those are the extra processors to further manipulate how the reverb behaves. Wow, so cool. So cool, this section. I didn't see that in many reverbs. Amazing stuff. We have multiply. Here we have kind of the effects section. This is just like extra effects. So it's special effects. So first of all, the multiply is just a lot of delays. Let's go to like the low sci-fi. And here is the space, how separated the delays are between them. Here we can hear that delays. Let's go 100% wet. So now we can actually hear some delays. So that's the multiply and the space. We have resonate. The resonate is comp filtering. So it's a series of comp filters going to create kind of this metallic type of sound. And the form is like how they condense between them, how what's the distribution of all those comp filter delays. So if you want kind of more of it sounds almost like a spring reverb, but if you want more of a metallic type of reverb, you can even resonate it. We have shimmer. It's a built-in pitch shifting. So we can shimmer the reverb, and here we can decide what's the actual pitch that it's repitching. We can hear it a tiny bit. Let's go 12. So it's shimmering reverb, adding a stage of repitching to create a very nice, bright, sparkly type of reverb. And lastly, we have interior, inertia, I think that's how you say it, and that's freezing. So that's going to freeze the reverb. And it's great for creating just drones and stuff like that. And you can further change the color of it with the tone. Get brighter. It's kind of like the damping of the high and low frequencies. So what happens to the tail? Wow, amazing stuff. We have A/B, we can copy to check different states. We can disable it, echo mode, oversampling. I have no idea what this is, doesn't say in the manual. I'm not sure what this is also, doesn't say in the manual. I believe it's like, I don't know what this is. Panic mode, lock, I'm not sure what it's exactly locking, undo and redo can definitely add this. Like the manual is a bit outdated. These are 3 different randomizers, which is awesome. This will randomize the algorithms, like the XY pads. This will randomize the actual reverb and the algorithms. And this will randomize everything. So it's... wow. It's so capable, so versatile. So really nice to have this type of versatility in a reverb. Not much bad things to say about it except the outdated manual. The pre-delay cannot be synced, and the time of the reverb modulation cannot be changed, but extremely versatile. XY pads give us so much access to so many different sounds, and the effects, the green and the orange, wow, amazing stuff. So Hyperspace from what's the name there? JMG Sound, really great. United plugins, 5 plugins, except the Royal Compressor. I love all of them. I will definitely get them, especially the Hyperspace if you're looking for an extremely versatile but easy to use reverb. That's it, United plugins. Let me know if you use them, let me know what you think, and we'll catch you next time.